All right, just to confirm for the listeners who we have on the phone here, it is the one and only Joey Mojo. Is it you, sir?
Yes, sir. What up? What up?
What is going on? Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Malibu, California right now at home, just outside of Los Angeles.
And how is the weather there?
Oh, it's fucking perfect, man. It's 74 degrees, sunny with a little breeze.
Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. You don't know what we've been pounded with. You know, everyone's talking this global warming. Bring it on, please. It's been freezing here since about October of last year. So we're ready. We're ready for the spring ourselves, and maybe you can come back here and bring some of that warmth with you.
You know, I usually do. When I came out for the last tour in April, I had some pretty good weather out there. And the first time I came out there in July of last year, it was super hot and muggy, like it usually is in T.A.F in the summer.
Yes. That's the problem with our summer, is it's not nice. It's too humid and it gets very hot. So spring and fall, in my opinion, are the best seasons.
I bet.
With that, I want to ask you some fun questions, get to know you a little, and then we'll dive into some industry ones. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. What was the first album you ever purchased with your own money?
That would be the Batman soundtrack that was done by Prince.
The Batman soundtrack. Which Batman album is that?
That is the soundtrack from the feature film Batman that was directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton.
Gotcha. So you're talking the
Prince did
original,
the music for that album.
the first one.
Yeah. I'm talking about the first one with Adam West. That's the OG one. But the one in the '80s that Tim Burton directed was by far my favorite Batman film. And the music really stood out to me because Prince did pretty much the whole album there.
Well, and the reason why I ask is because when I think of Batman soundtracks, the first one that jumps out to me is the next one, Batman Returns, where it had "Kissed by a Rose" from Seal. But that's probably my age, maybe. Like, to me, that song stood out more than any of the songs from the first one. To be honest, the first one, I loved Tim Burton's portrayal of Gotham City. I think it's the best yet.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. It was something about Jack Nicholson as the Joker I didn't like, or the story was a little slow.
Well, it was pretty dark, and they were trying to follow the comics books pretty closely. And personally, I think Jack Nicholson killed that role. Like, just put on a smile. You know, some classic lines and great demeanor from him in that film, in my opinion.
Would you say he was the best Joker?
Yeah, just because I'm a classic head.
See, I have to say Heath Ledger, and I'm sure many agree with me on that one. Is he obviously gave his life for that role, but
Yeah, for sure. He killed it in that. He definitely did the role justice. I don't know. You think Heath Ledger could top Jack Nicholson in the long run?
Not as an overall actor. I think Jack Nicholson's definitely had a longer, and sadly, Heath never had the chance. But yeah, Jack's definitely a bigger staple, and he's definitely got more roles under his belt. It's just that specific character, I guess. Most recently, they've got Joaquin Phoenix, by the looks of it, I think, is playing the Joker in the new movie.
Oh, man, that should be interesting.
Oh, it looks horrible. It looks horrible. I saw a preview. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be garbage. It was almost like seeing Jared Leto. I did not like that.
Yeah. I don't think he really did it justice to the full extent that the other guys did.
And that's how I guess I'd rank it. Can you tell me who was the TV Joker?
Oh, shoot, I could not tell you that one.
Okay,
Sorry,
well,
bud.
he would go third. Okay, so for me, it would go Heath, Jack, that dude, then just crapshoot for the last couple Jokers in there. But, all right, moving along. What was the first concert you ever attended?
Oh, that would be Michael Jackson, 1989.
That's awesome, man. Where did you see him?
Somewhere in L.A. I was 4 years old and my mother took me.
Your mom took you.
Oh, yeah, she's a hip lady.
That's awesome, man. Do you remember the show? Is there any specific memories you have of seeing Michael?
I remember seeing him moonwalk, and then from that point on, I would just be moonwalking everywhere. My mom has this freaking video of me moonwalking off the coffee table and falling and hitting my head.
Ooh.
And then you could see on the video her rushing over to help me up. And it's just, I could look back and laugh now, but that shit wasn't funny back then, man.
No, that's scary, right?
Yeah, I was all right. It's not the first or last time I'll be hit in the head.
Probably not the last time you'll moonwalk either.
Let's hope so.
For those who want to know, Joey was just here, and he was moonwalking all over the dance floor at Shane Troopa's B-Day party.
Yeah, I was doing some kind of walk at that party.
You know what? I have to say, the visual of you with the toilet paper in your ears sticking out the sides, and you're like, "Do you guys want earplugs?" It's the funniest thing. I'll never forget that visual. But
Oh man, that's an old school trick, man. If you're at a club and you forgot your earplugs, just take a cocktail napkin, tear off a little piece, crunch it up into a ball, and stick it in your ear. Works just as well as the foam thing.
but keep in mind to the listeners, you got to see Joey with the fly. It looked like an elephant ears coming out the side of his ear. He had these like long pieces sticking out his ear. But
Yeah, it was like I was in the hospital with an ear injury where
Right.
they put like a big cotton swab and then just tape it around the head. Yeah.
it was awesome. All right, let's dive into some industry questions. What was your first experience with the rave?
Oh, okay. My first rave was on the Oakland Army Base in Oakland, California. Big up Bay Area. And I was 15 years old, went to a party called Transformers. I took the BART train out to the Oakland, or one of the Oakland BART stations, took a cab from there with my friend. I was not supposed to be there, and my mother called me. This is like when they first had cell phones cheap enough to get your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so she called me, and I sounded different to her on the phone, and for obvious reasons. And then I came home, enjoyed the party, raved till the very end, and got a ride home from the closing DJ. His name was Tracer, out of San Francisco. Gave me a ride back across the Bay Bridge to San Francisco. Took a bus back to the house, and the sun was up by that point. And my mom was still awake, worried sick. And I came in. She checked me out and said, "All right, you're good. You got baseball practice in 2 hours."
Oh.
So that was my first rave experience, and it got a lot better from there in the last 19 years.
Sure. And you know what? That description where your mom made you go to baseball practice, that's I've heard other people say their fathers do that kind of shit to them. I've never heard a mother do that to someone. Like,
Well, you see, my dad was really busy a lot of the time. He was working out of town or working on this project or that project. So honestly, he wasn't there a whole lot of the time.
Sure.
So yeah, it was mom being Mr. Dad or Mrs. Dad.
well, she did a great job. Honestly, as you were telling it, I had an old boss who told me his first time coming home drunk. They lived on a farm, and his dad woke him up at 5 a.m. and said, if you're old enough to party, you're old enough to work. Like, let's get up. We still got a job to do. And he's like, Aaron, I was still drunk. I probably got to bed at like 4, and my dad was waking me up at 5. And I learned at a young age that if you're gonna party, you better get ready to work. And
Yeah.
I'm a puss, man. I'm a kind of guy who, if I party like that, I need a day off. Do not ask me to do anything.
Yeah, for real. It was a different story when I was 15. Now that I'm 33, it's a whole new ball game.
You know what? You're 33. That makes you younger than me, and that makes my Batman reference totally wrong. I thought maybe you were older than me.
Well, I turned 34 this summer. How about that?
You're still younger than me, but but then like I had no idea. To be honest, when I looked you up, I thought we were the same age. I thought you were born in '84, but I guess you're born in '85.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just a year older. We're still young pups.
Oh yeah.
Who inspired you to want to create? So beyond just, oops, was that me? Sorry. Beyond just wanting to go to the rave and listen to the music, who inspired you to want to create and spin?
Oh boy. I think the first mixed CD that I bought was AK-1200 and MC Navigator, the Moonshine Over America tour, recorded in Oakland in 2001. And that was the first mixed CD. I went down to the Warehouse. Remember the record store, the Warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
I went down there, bought that, and I got a DJ Irene CD. It was like a Hard House compilation. And shoot, what else? I think I picked up a Paul Oakenfold, like way back in the day.
Can I tell you something interesting about Paul Oakenfold?
What's that?
Do you know that he was the first one to sign DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith?
No shit.
Yeah. I thought you might like
Well,
that based on our conversation from yesterday. I had to throw some sort of reference in. And
nice tie-in.
yes, you just paved that path for me, so thank you for allowing me to do a little Fresh Prince reference. The other the other thing I want to talk about and what you're saying there is the AK-1200 reference. That set specifically got world renown, and that's not something that was common at that time. The specific song I remember is the Drowning remix he throws in at the end.
Oh yeah, that was his own remix.
Oh my god, and that put him on the map. Like, even Navigator, when I brought that set up to him, because we spoke about a year ago, and I said to him, one of my favorite sets of yours is the AK-1200 from San Francisco, and he said, you know, that set almost didn't happen. And
What?
yeah, if you, I'm not going to spoil it. Go back to the clips,
All
listen
right,
to
I'll
the
go back, go
conversation. But it's an amazing set, and even his ability to host. I say to MCs today, I'm like, you want to know how to host a set? Throw on that set, and just listen to what Navigator does. He mixes bars when they belong, and he, drops those words exactly at the precise. I said, for instance, in Drowning, all he says in that song is "right selector," but he says it right at the perfect moment. Right with the first bar after the first drop, that's when he speaks. And it's like, that was the perfect time to say that. So it's a craft. And when I asked him, how do you do that kind of stuff? He's like, you just let go. You're not really mechanically doing it. You're just kind of doing what you're doing. And you feel that that's when you're supposed to do it, right?
Yeah, feel in the music and let it guide you.
Amazing to me. And I want to say, yes, thank you, San Francisco, for that set. Who was the promoter that night? Do you remember?
Oh shoot, I do not remember.
That was
I know it was the Moonshine Over America tour.
I love that line, to be honest. That's how he started. Moonshine over America, scene? AK-1200.
Hi.
Awesome. And that second tune, was it the intro tune? Yeah, that I forget what tune it is, but it's got like an Aphrodite type bass to it. Oh, just deadly.
Oh yeah. God, I gotta go digging and find that CD now.
Now, me too, man. I'm gonna listen to it when we're done. Okay, do you think that a DJ must also produce to be successful in today's industry?
You know what? As an example of someone who hasn't really gotten that much into production, I feel that you can be successful in the DJ world if you just DJ and really refine your skills and develop a skill set that will set you apart from the rest of the game, because there's so many DJs now. And, I started when I was about 15 years old, and I started on vinyl, so I had to figure out the whole, watching the grooves, actually hearing the time, no BPM counters. From there, I went to scratching and turntablism routines. And then once CDJs came around, I was able to mix even quicker. And then I brought in multiple CDJs. I have 3 CDJs at home. And I actually just recorded and posted a new video mix. And yesterday, you can check that out on YouTube. It's Joey Mojo, ADHC. And let's see. And I think the other important part of being successful as a DJ is your ability to network. I don't think I would be where I am today without my outgoing and personable persona that people kind of get along with. And I feel like my energy going out there attracts the same kind of positive energy. And that's what Mojo actually is. Mojo is an energy source that pulls other positive energy sources to it. So I think that really reflects on the way that I've taken the DJ world and the way it's treated me back.
No, it's true. Like I said, meeting you do have an energy to you. You have a big smile and you've got a charisma. And I agree with you when it comes to personality. If somebody's a dick, you don't want to bring them back. I don't want to mention names, but I know people who've been to Toronto that are very talented artists that never came back again because of what headaches they were to deal with. And I know other people who maybe aren't as talented who get brought back over and over again because they are just such great human beings.
Being an artist and being easy to handle hospitality-wise goes a long way for someone wanting to make that decision to bring you back.
That's in jungle, by the way, folks. If you want to be a pop artist, don't do that. You got to be a dickhead if you want to make it in that world. But in the jungle world, I totally agree. And there is politics to the thing. You got to duck and weave your way through that. You know what I mean? But
in the end, if you listen to jungle, you got to stay humble.
That's the truth, man. And because I always say this. Even Andy C, my mom don't know who he is, and if you, you know, until you get to the level that my mom knows who you are, who you being all superstar about, you know? But no, and I have to say, some of the people I get to meet or talk to, I have to calm myself or settle my heartbeat before I do, because I don't want to come off like, oh my God, because that doesn't go well. And I have to say, I do feel that way talking to some of these people. Yeah, most recently I spoke to MC Fearless, and I told him that. I'm like, if I ever do meet you, Wayne, I am going to go gaga, and just be prepared.
You know, I felt that way for about a lot of artists. And then I started doing artist hospitality at Stamina Sundays in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I handled a headliner every week. Some were great, some were not so great, some I am still friends with. An example of one of those DJs, artists, is Spiky T. He recently came through Los Angeles and stayed with me for a week. And we recorded another 2x4 set like we usually do. And, you know, every year when he comes through on his worldly travels, he comes stay with me around the same time of year. And it all started from Stamina Sundays. You know, I took care of his hospitality, and we just became friends, and, you know, it just built from there. But I know quite a few artists that have become my friends that way. Another big name is Heist, you know, Jim. He's a really, really good dude. He's stayed with me a few times, and, you know, we tight now. So,
well, and another one I could think of is in the picture that I have of you here, our buddy Mr. MCZ.
Oh, my G. That guy is my freaking hero, man. If it wasn't for Z, I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing across country lines.
That's cool, man. He's a good guy. Very talented man, too, eh?
Absolutely. One of my favorite MCs because I can hear what he's saying. I like his bars. I like the words he's using, and his delivery is on point. Big up Z.
Big up Z. And we're talking about people with good energy and know how to treat people with respect. Mr. Z there is definitely one of those people.
Top notch lad.
Great human being. All right, okay, well, let's try a switch on that question. So I was asking you if you think that a DJ must produce, but how about vice versa? Do you think that a producer must spin to be successful?
Well, if the producer wants to make extra money by playing gigs, yeah, he should probably play some sets. They don't have to be an extremely talented DJ at that. I've seen plenty of world-renowned producers who are putting out excellent tunes that, you know, can't really DJ as well as I would hope they would be on that level. But, you know, the artist name brings the people to the party because of the tunes that they put out. And then their performance, I would expect them to have some great tunes, like a big bag of tricks to lay down on the dance floor. But, you know, some people come correct, some people don't so much.
Well, and I think there's also times have changed, and that'll kind of lead us into the next question, in that nowadays producers more so do need to spin, or at least align themselves with somebody who does spin and maybe ghost write, or, you know what I mean? But sometimes it sucks that you get a great producer who doesn't know how to spin, or you get a great DJ who can't produce, and sometimes those two should just work together. You know what I mean? Rather than be independently shitty.
well, shoot, if you know a good producer who can't DJ, I'll play their tunes.
There's plenty, man. You know what? One I think of when I think of our city is Dave the Nemesis Whalen, who works alongside Marcus Visionary. And a lot of what you're hearing is Dave, and no disrespect, Marcus is a great producer as well, but Dave doesn't spin, you know, so Dave's path to the main ear, and he's gone through other people. I'm pretty sure he's released through Shy FX and Lion Dub, so he doesn't just go to Marcus, he goes to other people, but he is an example of somebody who's producing but not DJing. I think the same could be said with what happened with Pendulum, where you had these guys who knew how to produce. You had to bring in Al Hornet so that he could spin for them.
That's a great example.
Well, and it does happen, you know. To be honest, I don't know Evil Intent. I don't know Noisia. I don't know what their dissected group, like who they are as individuals. Maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're a group because this guy can produce and this guy can spin. Maybe, like with Bad Company, it was amazing that when they broke up, each one of them became an amazing producer and DJ. Like, that's special.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Totally.
But anyway, so leading into that, I want to ask you, what changes have you noticed in the scene from the day you started to where we are today?
Well, you know, things change with the times. Society changes as a whole. and that kind of translates to the rave world. I feel that back when I started, everyone was a little more friendly and accepting. Maybe that's because I grew up in the Bay Area, where people are a little less standoffish and more welcoming. But I've noticed that, well, the drugs were very prevalent back in the day, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like drug use today has kind of spiraled out of control in some areas. As far as the music goes, I am very happy with the way things have been going, especially technology wise, because with all these breakthroughs in technology, making it more affordable, making it easier to use, I feel like a lot of producers are coming out with some really groundbreaking sounds and really pushing the envelope of where sound can go. So I think that's great, and now I can DJ on 4 decks at the same time, so that's definitely a leg up in the music world.
And he does that without hitting the auto sync button, fellow
What's
people.
a sync? What's a sync button?
Exactly. What's a sync button? We actually we're gonna have the pleasure this Friday to see Mompy Swift on 4 decks for 2.5 hours. So to the listeners, come on out to that if you haven't gotten your spot yet. Peaceful Entertainment at Wax Nightclub. There's a little drop in for you, Brian. All right, I got to move along. The next question. You know what? Hold on. I want to touch in on one thing you brought up, which was the drugs, and I think that's a big aspect of the vibe because the drugs are still there. You say they've gotten more rampant. I think the drugs have just gotten also different. Whereas before people were munching on acid or ecstasy pills, now they're railing cocaine or doing meth. And fentanyl has also become a popular. Now these drugs bring out a different side of people, and it's also a different type of person that tends to use them. And that will affect, if you got a bunch of people high on ecstasy versus cocaine, you got a different room. And
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of curbed what you're describing about the vibe. And I find it interesting also that you talk about coming from the Bay Area and it being a more accepting. One of the stereotypes that people talk about when they think of San Francisco is that it's the gayest area in the world, very accepting of the gay community. Would you say that that had some tolerance in the rave community as well?
Yeah, that's a definite yes, but the Bay Area definitely changed my perspective on the whole world. Like, be accepting of other people because we're all the same on the inside, and if I think these imaginary divisions have pushed us apart, whereas an area like San Francisco just brings all kinds of people together and creating a melting pot of ideas and cultures and foods, and I think inclusion is much more productive than exclusion.
I agree. Unify and conquer, man, not divide, right?
Absolutely.
I'm with you, man. What's the most memorable experience you've had traveling all around the world?
Oh boy, what a question.
I'd say, hold on, I'm going to throw this out there, and you don't have to engage it if you don't want to, but I'd say the one you just had was pretty memorable.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, man. All right, so I went on tour. I went on a Canadian, U.S., Europe tour in the month of April. I stopped in Toronto and Kincardine, back into Toronto, went straight to Vegas to play a show, and then went out to Amsterdam, played in Antwerp, Belgium, Amsterdam 3 times, and got to play a back-to-back-to-back set with Saxon and Tradesman at the legendary Cheeky Monday.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes.
That is pretty cool. So, and that's probably the largest tour you've ever done as an individual. Is that right?
I think, yeah, that was probably the longest tour that I've been on by myself. I did manage the Cheech and Chong tour for 3 years, and nothing can really compare to that. But yeah, I think as a DJ on my own, that was definitely the most memorable and the longest and most draining tour that I've ever been on.
That's the truth. And Antwerp, like, that is a special place. I had the pleasure of being there a few weeks before you, and what a crowd! Like, what an amazing. You talk the vibe. The vibe is there. Am I right? Like, when you talk that vibe, it's happening in Belgium.
Oh yeah, man! It reminds me of the old school days when I was just starting to get into drum and bass. It's a younger crowd that I played for in Antwerp.
15 plus, right?
16 plus, and that's the drinking age. So everyone was drinking beer at the party and danced around. I felt like I was at a high school dance performing again. But they got down to the jump up, man. They love it out there, and I love that.
It's also, once again, let's talk drugs for a moment. Ecstasy is big over there. It is. It's not coke. It's ecstasy.
I went to Rampage last year, and people were fucked up, bro.
Yeah, that's where I actually was this year, and I some of the videos I captured, I didn't notice it while I was taking the video, but you go back and look, and it's all these people eating imaginary cheeseburgers and shit. I'm like, what are you?
Yeah, man, they're hungry. They're hungry. You got that techno jaw going.
Exactly. But you know what? Beautiful people having an amazing time. Unfortunately, what ended up happening too is because I was there shooting, I had my camera and stuff. A lot of people would grab me and want to take a photo. And I don't know why, because it's not like they're ever going to see it, right? But okay, I'll take your photo. And it got to the point where I literally was just, the camera wasn't even on. I was pretending to take photos of people. Because it was like taking up my memory card, right? Like, so I would literally just snap the photo and delete it anyway. So then I got to a point where I was just pretending and like, all right, see you later. But when I got back, I had 119 messages from people asking me if I have their picture. I was like, I'm so sorry, but I had to delete it. There was no space. I had to shoot the event. But I most of them were very nice.
I bet they were so let down. The best night of their life ever.
Trust me, they didn't want those photos. If you would have seen the few I got of people, you don't want them.
You know what PLUR stands for, right? People look ugly rolling.
I've never heard that version of it. Okay. But that's the truth, is they think they look beautiful. It's like what you think you look like versus what you actually look like. You know that meme?
Yeah.
The awesome meme. It shows like two people party. It's like what you think you look like while you're raving and what you actually look like while you're raving. I love that photo.
Oh yeah. That's a good meme. Standard.
Let me ask you this one. Okay, where is the one place in the world you haven't been to that you'd love to see?
Oh, fuck. That's a toss-up between Thailand and... shit, no, that's it, Thailand.
You want to go to Thailand? What is it about
Thailand? I want to go to
Thailand?
Thailand. I just want to live there like a king on the beach for a month and just enjoy the sun and enjoy the ocean and enjoy the planet while we still have time to do it.
Can I give you a suggestion if that's like that you're into that atmosphere, if you will?
I'm into a bunch of atmospheres, but I feel like I can go on a tropical vacation anytime soon.
I would recommend anywhere in Cambodia as well, and possibly the Polynesian Islands, anywhere off there, the coast of Cambodia, off in the Pacific, because I've seen a buddy of mine who's traveling, and he is actually in Thailand right now, but he was there before, and some of the photos he's taking are just wow. And it's cheap. Like he's telling me, for $2,000 Canadian, he's getting, 2 months, and the place he's staying's got Wi-Fi, and the food's cheap and stuff. He's lucky that he's a digital graphic designer, so he can, move and work.
Nice.
Yeah, and I envy him. So I would just say, if you're ever over there, if you do make your way to Thailand, try and check out Cambodia as well.
I'd be down for that. One other place that I would want to go to is Brazil. I want to go check it out. Go see what's left of the rainforest.
Yeah, you know what? Be careful. They kidnap people there.
Gotcha. Well, in that case, I'm going to go to Jamaica.
They're under a state of emergency right now. Have you heard what's going on in Jamaica?
Oh, fuck. I haven't even turned on the news lately. What's going on?
There is. They're warning people, like people that are traveling to Jamaica, don't leave the resort after dark, which I don't think you should do anyways. But they put in a state of emergency in like some of the big places, like Montego Bay and Kingston, and some of the big places in Jamaica.
Well, that's good news. I'm booked to play a festival there next summer.
Oh, hopefully you'll be okay by then. Hopefully things will settle down. Did you know we have a rainforest in Canada?
I knew there was mad forest, but not a rainforest.
Yeah, so I didn't know this either. So call me oblivious and ignorant of my own country. Only recently did I learn in British Columbia there is a section that is actually rainforest, and a buddy of mine got lost in it for 26 hours. And, yeah, so you ever have somebody nonchalantly tell you, so you've known them for like 15 years, and then out of nowhere they just pull something out of their ass and like, hey, did I ever tell you that time? And you're like, no. Like, and I've known. So yeah, this guy I've known for years, just out of nowhere, is like, did I ever tell you the time I got lost in the rainforest? I'm like, no. I think you would have fucking remembered that one. So I won't bore the listeners with the whole story, but yes, we have a rainforest in Canada, and it's in northern British Columbia.
Dope.
All right, what can we expect from Mr. Mojo in 2019?
Okay, what do we got? Let's start with the gigs. I have a couple gigs coming up this weekend. One is Saturday the 18th in downtown Los Angeles. Fugitive Sound Sessions is the party. That is one of my crews. Lineup is Six Block, aka RIW, General John Mikey with Joey, Wolf and Tetred, Juke Bounce Work. I'll be doing a back-to-back set with Ire. We got Gabriel Habit and Junine, Zelda, and Decimal with MCs Kemst and Dyer. Then this following Monday, the 20th, I will be playing my first set at Organized Grime in San Diego. So go check that out at the AC Lounge. And then let's see, next month I'm going up to San Francisco to play at Shelter SF at 424 Haight Street on June 6th. That's a Thursday. Hope to see everyone out there. And I got another nice gig playing at Stamina Sundays on June 30th, opening up for the one himself, Marcus Visionary.
Nice. That's awesome.
And then I do have a couple mix projects coming out. I just submitted a new mix for MCZ, Stars and Diza, and they're going to be they're writing bars for the next Bridging the Gap Volume 2. So that's going to be coming out in the near future. And I also just got asked to make a mix for MC Dino from Bass Rush in the Southwest U.S. He wants to MC over one of my sets, so I'm going to start putting that together right now.
That's awesome. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to Mr. Mojo, I will post a link down below to some of the stuff I was able to find online. What was the CD that I was able to get my hands on while you were here? Is that...
That is my latest version of the Dubwise Murderer series. That's Dubwise Murderer Volume 4. All of those mixes can be available for stream and download at mixcloud.com/Joey Mojo.
Perfect. All right, 2 final questions. These are fun ones, so let's have fun. And you know what? One thing I got to say also, you mentioned Lady Dyer is going to be one of the MCs on the bill, and I love her. She was actually married to a gentleman from Toronto who was sadly murdered by the name of T.C. Islam. And I had the pleasure of interviewing her about a year ago, and we didn't talk about that on record. And when the interview finished, she asked me why I didn't bring that up, and I was like, I had no idea about this story. And she told me, well, look into what I'm talking about. It's to my listeners, if you want to read some interesting stories, look into that. Look into MC Dyer, look into TC Islam, look at all the contribution, the two of them.
Yeah, I knew about TC Islam. I didn't know that they were married, though.
Yeah, and they met here, to be honest. She was touring from what I know of the story, if I remember. She'd been brought over to do a show here. She ended up meeting him, stayed here for a while. They ended up getting married, and I don't know the rest. She ended up meeting someone else, and she has a child with someone else, as far as I know. But now she's out in California, and I have never heard anyone, because I talk to people from all around California, and every time I try and say, hey, do you know this person? They're like, no. And I have to come to the conclusion that there's 36 million people in the state, and we only have 34 million in our whole country. So when I ask someone, like, hey, do you know this guy? I probably sound like a real idiot.
Do you know this Do you know this person in California? Yeah. No, there's only like 10 million people in Los Angeles County, so whatever.
There's actually a great commercial up here where it's a guy comes up to a guy at a bar and he's like, hey, you're from Canada? I have a cousin from Canada. His name's Steve. He works in an office. Do you know him? And the guy goes, yeah, Office Steve. He's dead. And he drinks his beer. Office Steve. All right, here's a fun one for you. If you could create a Mount Rushmore for the jungle industry, who would your 4 faces be?
Oh, man, come on. My 4 faces. As for my inspirations,
Sure.
Probably...
I know Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff would go up there, right?
No, he's not on my... that's a different Mount Rushmore. That's a hip-hop one.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. I would say Goldie, Shy Effects. Who else? Damn. Um, I would say Andy C. and Crust.
Interesting crust at the end. The first three are obvious ones that many people, and a lot of people have thrown Comanche up, the die crust combo. Um,
Hmm.
but I didn't expect those four from you. To be honest, I didn't. I expected more Congo Natty, Terry T. You know what I mean? Like because you're very heavily reggae when I listen to you. But
When I started, I wasn't that heavy into reggae. I was a teenager, and I just came out of a punk and a metal band. So I was like into the hardest stuff I could get. And then, as I matured and my taste changed, I kind of developed into who I really am now, which is a ganja man and a lover of people and the world.
that's awesome. And you know what? The picture I've got here, it's the sign that Z had made for you from the airport. He's holding it up beside you.
I still have that sign right here.
That's awesome. That's Z in a nutshell. That sign. And
Oh boy!
that's why I love
what
him.
a nut for that nutshell.
Oh, I love him. All right. If you could put 5 items into a vault that would encapsulate the rave culture, so in like 20,000 years, people are going to dig this thing up, and we want them to know what the rave once was. What would you put in that vault?
I would say a laser projector, a pacifier, a pair of UFO pants, a visor, and camo netting.
Camo netting. Yeah, we used to throw that on the speakers and shit. It's
You know?
it's interesting that the rave is an emulation, no matter where you go, of us all trying to copy this thing because you nailed it. And I've never been to a party in San Francisco. It's the same thing, and I love that. I love the visor. I love the projector you threw that in. I love the camo. Everything that you put in is the rave. And
You know, we're all part of one culture, one people. The music tied us together, and the scene kept us together.
and the drugs.
Yeah, the drugs are a nice appetizer, and to get the balls rolling.
Oh man. Oh. That's sad but true. And you know what? No, jokes aside, and here's the thing: is that there is a fun place for it. We've had this discussion with many other artists where, you see people having a good time and it's great, but then once in a while you see a person who's gone too far, and as a performer, you somewhat feel a sense of responsibility to that person to say, hey, I see you, I love you, I want you to take care of yourself, and I'm here for you. So. I think we owe that. Otherwise, what happens is our guys all die or go to jail. So it's important that we do love each other and see when people need
Yeah,
help.
for real, man, for real. I've had quite a few people pass on me, but I feel that people can change. I have a really close friend to me who just went sober, and he's really excelling at life, doing everything he wants to do, and he's still big time in the drum and bass world, and I feel very good for him and the potential of people in general. If anyone could do it, anyone can really do it.
Well, yeah, and I'll share this with you, Joey. I this July 26th will celebrate 10 years of sobriety from methamphetamine. I was hooked on meth. So
Congratulations, man.
thanks,
Congrats.
buddy. Thank you.
That shit's hard. That's hard to kick, man.
Well, and here's the thing, and I'll say before we wrap this up, is that it's not just about giving up the drug. It's about going back to living a functioning, independent, self-sustaining lifestyle. And the world doesn't give a fuck about your sensitivity, and that's the thing. When you go through rehab, it's all about caring and loving, and But when you go back to the real world, you need to have your foundations in place, if you will, because if you're just going to crumble at the first person that doesn't give a fuck about you, then you're going to just keep repeating, and you're going to keep hiding and numbing yourself from the feeling of pain. So I think it's really important that people that are going through their recovery process have people to support them, like yourself. You're talking about your friend here. You need, I know you're there for him, and we need to be there for each other. And it's not a big deal to reach out to somebody that is going through something and ask them, how you doing?
Yeah, man, that sometimes that makes all the difference. You never know what a person's going through until you ask them.
Ask them. Don't wait for them to come ask you. And that's a big thing. I've had, he hasn't called me in a while. I'm like, have you called him? It's you can only do so much. I understand that, but it does take some proactiveness for those who do love the person to love them during that time. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is also becoming independent is a big thing because being dependent on the things around you can make you also want to hide from life. And when you're at
Oh yeah, that's the easiest escape is substances, man.
definitely when you're ashamed and embarrassed of where you're at, trust me, rock bottom is that I was homeless, right? And when you're at that point, you really are relying on people. You're sleeping on couches, you're asking for money so you can get food, and you're very vulnerable, and you feel like a piece of shit. So until you feel like you can take care of yourself again, and then you start, like I say, building that all up. It is a struggle, and people slip. It's like a baby trying to walk. It doesn't just pick up and walk. It falls a few times. So
Yep.
for the people going through recovery, all I'm saying is you're worth it, so do it,
Yeah, man. Believe in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. And just take care of yourself. You only got one life, and life is very fragile. I've seen it.
I agree. All right, I'm going to sign off to the listeners, but I want to talk to you for a little bit, so just stay on the phone with me, okay, buddy?
All right, for sure. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoy listening as much as I enjoy chatting. Until next time, peace out.